Hey everybody, I just got back from Pinnacles National Park, which is one of the least visited national parks in California, and I wanted to make this video to share some tips and to help you know what to expect if you visit the park for the first time. In this video, I'm just going to share some tips and tricks to make the most of your visit to Pinnacles, which is an awesome Central California national park. Be sure to let me know what questions you have in the comments, and let's jump into it. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the two entrances to Pinnacles National Park. Pinnacles doesn't have a road that goes through the entire park, so you actually have to pick if you want to go to the west or the east entrance. It's about an hour and a half to drive between the two entrances, so you want to pick the one that you really want to go to and focus on that for your day in the park. Both entrances have pros and cons. The east side is the best to visit if you want to experience the most you can in the park. The east side gives you access to the Gulch Cave, the Gulch Reservoir, nature centers, the Bacon Ranch, and basically everything you can do in the park you can do from the east side. That being said, it's much further away from the highway, it takes a lot longer to get to, and there's basically no gas or restaurants or anything like that on the east side. The west side's close to Highway 101, it's only about 20 minutes off of the highway, so you can easily drive there and experience the park relatively quickly on a road trip. From this side, you can access the high peaks and you can access the Balconies Caves, but that's about it. It'd be very hard to access Gulch Cave and the Reservoir from this side without a very long day trip.
Just wanted to make a quick note that on the west side they recommend you don't drive large RVs or buses as it's a narrow road.
If you have the chance, I recommend going to the east side for your first experience to Pinnacles National Park. Next up, I wanted to talk about lodging and camping. If you want to camp in Pinnacles National Park, you have to do that on the east side. There's no established campground on the west side. Also, you want to make sure you get your spot in advance as it easily fills up during the busy seasons in the park. If you want to stay in a hotel, the town of Soledad is right next to the west entrance, about 15 to 20 minutes away. They have quite a few hotels there that you can stay at, and it's right off Highway 101. On the east side, the closest town is the town of Hollister. It's about a 45-minute drive from the park, and there's hotels, Target, restaurants, things like that there, but it is a good drive to get into the park in the morning. That's your closest option though, as there's no other cities around the east side of the park. Next up, let's talk about food. As you can probably tell from the talk about lodging, your best options for food are going to be in the towns of Soledad and Hollister, depending on what side of the park you're on. Soledad is mostly fast food options, but there is a market there which you can buy your own food from. And then in Hollister, they basically have everything from fast food, fast casual, restaurants, all that kind of stuff. Plus there's a Target there and there's a grocery store, all the things you could need. On the west side of the park, there's nothing to eat, but on the east side, there is a store that has lots of different supplies for camping, so things that you can cook and some things that you'd find at a normal gas station, you can find in the store on the east side of the park. Next up, let's jump into the park itself and let's talk about the California Condor. So when people visit this park, they often want to see the California Condor, and there's about a dozen or so of them that actually live in the park. Well, on my last trip, I spent a lot of time talking to the rangers about Condor, so all this information is from my talk with them. Most people think that the turkey vultures that they see in the park are condor, but they're not. Turkey vultures have white on the outside of their wings, and condors have this white triangle on the inside of their wings. That's how you can tell the difference, plus the fact that condor have about a 9-foot wingspan, so they don't move around a lot when they're flying in the sky. The ranger told me basically if you see a bird that's kind of moving back and forth, it's probably not a condor, as they're very smooth in flight. I saw a ton of turkey vultures when I was there the last time, and I don't really think I saw any condor, but a lot of people that I hiked around with did see some. The best area to see it is usually the high peaks area, as you have a great viewpoint from up here and you can see down into the valley and see birds from far away. The ranger also told me that they're the most active in the morning from around 8 to 10, so that might be your best time to see condor while you're in the park. Hopefully you see some. I didn't see any on my last trip, but I can't wait to go back and see if I can find them next time I'm there. Next up, let's talk about the caves. Pinnacles National Park has two tallest caves, which are caves that are formed by rock fallen, not from the traditional lava flow that you'll see in a lot of the other caves in California. Both of these caves are amazing to experience, with the Gulch Cave having more infrastructure with the steps that are easy to kind of follow in the dark, and the Balconies Cave being more of an adventurous cave where you kind of have to scramble in the dark in order to get up. They're both relatively easy to do for most people, but you definitely want to bring a headlamp so you have your hands free in order to use those for scrambling in the Balconies Cave. In both caves, they're pretty wide, so it's not super claustrophobic, but they do get really dark in certain sections, so you'll have to decide whether that's okay for you when you go. Also, you definitely need to check whether or not the caves are open before you visit the park. They have a page on their website that shows the status of the caves, whether they're open or closed. Balconies is open pretty much the entire year, but Gulch Cave does close for bats. The lower part of the cave is open a good portion of the year, but the upper part is only open a couple weeks out of the year. So if you want to experience the full cave and see the upper part, you're definitely going to want to plan that in advance so you can go during that window of time when the cave is open. I've never been when the upper cave was open, but I always enjoy going to the lower cave, and Balconies Cave is incredible as well. This is definitely one of the highlights of any trip to Pinnacles National Park. The last thing I want to talk about was the seasons. The park gets the most busy in the spring or the fall seasons. The winter is really cold and can often have frost, and every once in a while they even get a little bit of snow. Alternatively, the summer is incredibly hot and temperatures can get all the way up into the hundreds on a summer day. Plus, outside of the caves, there's not a lot of shade on many of the trails, so you definitely don't want to be hiking on a hot summer day in Pinnacles. Because of how busy the park gets in the spring and the fall, and the fact that it doesn't have a lot of infrastructure for a national park of this size, you definitely want to get into the park as early as possible on those busy weekends and holidays. The park website recommends to get in before 8 a.m. on a busy day in the spring and fall. There's not a lot of parking, and if you want to park in the Condor, Gulch, Gulch area, then you definitely will have to get into the park early. Also, the east side does have a shuttle that runs when the park's busy, but it hasn't been running for the last year or so because of the pandemic. The shuttle is a great way to experience the park if you go when it's busy, so check the website to see if the shuttle's running. The shuttle also allows you to do longer one-way hikes so you can get dropped off in one area and picked up in another. I think that's all the tips that I have for first-time visitors to Pinnacles, but I wanted to share 5 places that you must visit when you go to the park. First up is the high peaks. This is just an awesome hiking area with beautiful views and some narrow rock ledges that are fun to walk around. Next up is Gulch Cave. This cave is incredible as you walk through steps to get up to the top area, and there's lots of darkness, lots of natural light, there's even waterfalls in the cave, just a cool adventurous experience in the park. Next up is the Gulch Reservoir. You'll access this when you exit the cave, and it's just a beautiful area with great reflections of the surrounding rocks off the water. Fourth, we have the Balconies Cave. This is a more adventurous cave which requires a little bit of scrambling, but it's a lot of fun to experience. Lastly, we have the Bacon Ranch. This is a quick little hike from the visitor center area that takes you to an old historic homestead, and it's just cool to see some of the history in the park. That's it for all my tips in Pinnacles National Park. Let me know what you think in the comments, or if you have any other questions, let me know if you want me to make videos like this on the other parks as well. We will see you on the next video.